So in this video, let's see how we could use a parameter to make this dashboard that is based on various sets more useful and even more interactive. So the thing that I'm going to change is this table where it says assuming 50% loss from storm on sales. And if you remember, that 50% maybe was just a value, and let's take a look at it. Here is, if I could find it, there it is. The calculation that I created, storm loss. So it's taking whatever the states that are at risk, adding up their sales and multiplying it by 50%, because we just came up with that 50%. But what would be better is if we let the user determine what the storm loss might be expected to be. So we're going to do that with a parameter. So I'm going to create a parameter, and I'm going to call this parameter expected storm loss. And I am going to leave it as a float, right, because it's going to be a percentage. I'm going to start off at, the default is going to be 0. I'm going to choose a range where the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 1. And I'm going to make the step size 2.5. Every 2.5%. So 2.5%, 5%, 7.5%, so on and so forth. So then I'm going to click OK. So we've just created our parameter. I'm going to go ahead and show it, although as we know we can't do anything about it yet. But I can at least look at the control and make sure that the steps are what I expect, and they are. I'm going to go ahead and format the number as a percentage as well. So now when I look at it, 2.5%, 5%, right, and it's a slider, so people can choose whatever they want the expected loss to be. Not what they want, but what they think the expected loss is going to be. So we've created the parameter, but now we have to apply it. So again, I have this calculated field storm loss, and so I'm going to edit it, and what I'm going to do is replace where I'm multiplying my sales for the states that are in the group, the states that are at risk. I'm going to take out the 0.5 and I'm going to replace it with expected storm loss. And I just drag that from my data pane into the calculated field. Now I'm going to click OK, and it's going to change to 0 because that's the default setting for my expected storm loss. But as I either with the slider or with the arrows, as I change it to that, now it's a 20% storm loss, we can see what the potential loss is going to be: 15%, 55%, right? So we can allow the user to modify this, and now this is a much more, I think, useful visualization, and it will make the dashboard certainly much more usable. The other thing I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and change the title to include the actual expected storm loss. So I'm going to say the expected, let's see if I could, storm loss assuming a, and then we'll insert the parameter expected storm loss assuming a percent loss of sales. Okay. There we go, expected storm loss assuming a 10% loss of sales, and that obviously is going to change as the parameter is going to change. Now let's take a look at the dashboard, and we have that on the dashboard. Now here's the only issue with a dashboard. So let's talk about that real quick. I added this parameter after the dashboard. So this table is already on the dashboard. Since it is, it needs to be taken off and replaced so that the parameter control appears. So I'm going to remove it, and then I am going to drag it back on. I'll resize it the way it was sized. I think that's pretty good. And you can see the control is here. Let's move this right there. We'll kind of shrink it down and just have that control right at the top. And so that's the use of a parameter, in this case on a particular worksheet, to modify an amount in a calculation, the calculation of the expected storm loss, and how it then affects the dashboard.